Probably looking at this radio thinking, man, that looks like it's in pretty nice shape. Kind of the same thing I thought when I unboxed it and took a look at it with a piece of paper on the side that says everything works, but no transmit. Has 4-pin Cobra wiring now. I thought, wow, I think I remember talking to the customer on this one, cracked circuit board. I said, no problem. Well, for starters, I got to take the top cover off, no problem. I flipped the radio over to take the bottom cover off, and a sure sign that things are not going to look good when people flip it around, they can actually read it. CB Yardman, whoever the hell that is. I don't know if that's supposed to be the golden screwdriver that worked on it or if it was an owner. But, yeah, not a good sign. That's just from experience. When you see shit like that written on a radio, it's not a good sign. And then I opened it up. And from the top side, not too bad. Get a light in here. First thing I noticed was, oh shit. Where is the shield? There's supposed to be a can that slides down around this. Everybody's got to take the damn cans off, and they get lost or throw them away. It's just like on the bottom sides of radios. They have, little shields that'll, be covering up, areas of a circuit board, and people take them off and never put them back on. God damn it, people, stop that. These shields are there for a reason. This is part of the synthesizer circuit. It doesn't even have to be the synthesizer circuit. There's shields on the underside of the radio, but they're there for a reason. They're an RF shield. It has absolutely nothing to do with signals getting out of the radio, into the outside environment, out of this circuit. People think that's all FCC related. Well, yeah, it kind of is, but it has nothing to do with the signal right here getting out. The problem is you have other circuits in here. You've got the final transistors, the drivers over here. You've got a lot of RF energy inside this radio. You've got mixing circuits. And if some of that signal then bleeds back into it, you end up with huge second, third harmonics, IMD, or intermodulation, distortion. The distortion products you make when you remove these shields is just through the roof. So if you take the damn shield off, put the shields back on. So there's my gripe on shields. So if we look at the power supply circuit, everything's looking pretty good. Other than the shield missing, not too bad. Just to look at it, it doesn't look bad. Not a lot of hokey wiring floating around, at least from the top side so far. And we get over here, and, what the hell's that? Them's supposed to be a relay in there. What happened to it? Well, we'll get to that on the bottom in a second. And we can rotate around here to the front. You can see where matter of fact, I have to flip the radio up here, so probably get some light down in there, maybe. Try and reposition this thing. You can actually see in there. There we go. Yes, this has an unobtainium chip. So as long as that chip's good, I always tell people, as long as the chip that is made out of unobtainium is still good, most radios are worth fixing, because, yeah, once that chip craps out, you're screwed. As far as I know, the only chip that thing was ever used in was this radio. I've looked it up, and that is the absolute only reference I can find anywhere is this radio. So that chip goes up the only place you can get one out of one of these radios. So, but backside, not looking bad. I've seen these in horrible condition, resistors burned up. Of course, IC missing that was stolen for another radio. But like I say, up top, not necessarily looking horrible. You can see the insulator. Matter of fact, hell, that goddamn thing's loose. Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, the transistor's loose. Oh yeah, that's always. Oh my God, both of them are loose. No wonder this thing has output power problems. But still, nothing horrible. Now, Let me pause it to flip it over. Yeah, it gets better. And here we are on the underside. And the first thing I noticed, actually I noticed it when I was taking the top cover off, because I saw it laying on the bottom plate on the inside. You know, this had been apparently rewired for 4-pin Cobra. And there's the microphone jack. It's in the radio. What the hell is this? Really? Are you shitting me? Somebody put a 4-pin mic jack in there and left this goddamn thing hooked up with bare wires, bouncing, not even wire tied. It put a little black tape around it or something if they, didn't know what to do with them, and bundle it up in here. Really? Just leave this bouncing around in the radio. Yeah, not looking good. Next. Yeah, we won't even get a look at the crack yet. Relay. Another one. Are you shitting me? What the hell is this? You've got to be kidding. And I hadn't even pulled the Sam's manual out on this to look at the schematic, but I think, and I know that's be dangerous some days, but I think this is part of the switching, and I'm not 100% sure. Like I say, I got to look at the schematic. I can't remember if this is just switching voltage, or this actually has RF going through it. If this thing has RF going through it, well, look at all those goddamn little built-in antennas. Yes, and then the crack. Now, cracks I can deal with. As long as the board hasn't what I call spider webbed or crow's foot, like a chip in a windshield. As long as it's not like somebody came down in the center, hit it, and it just shattered in a bunch of directions. It's honestly not that bad to repair. Somebody, it looks like, tried to. I can see some solder blobs here, and yeah, somebody screwed it up for starters. They didn't do a very good job. What you would do is go in here. You want to get off all this epoxy overcoat and all this silk screening on there. Okay, that's the first thing you really, really need to do. Get rid of everything. So it's bare virgin copper looking at you. Once you have that cleaned off from one, a little bit on either side, so here's the crack. You want to clean it off to about out here and do the entire thing. Next thing you want to do, epoxy the board back together. Okay, you're going to want to dismount the board so you can separate it and get some epoxy in between there, because this is a fiberglass board, so it can be just, it can be glued back together. Right now it's buckled. I don't know what the hell's going on there. It could be some of this hokey repair work that was done. Actually, it looks like the whole goddamn chassis is bent. If you look at it, look across there. Yeah, the whole goddamn chassis is buckled. I don't know if this radio maybe really got dropped in shipping at some point in time. That might have been what broke it, because the crack does start from there and head this way, so I get the feeling this might have taken one hell of a drop straight down. The power supply that's right here and the transformer's right here. That weight, kicked, like that, and this sheet metal buckled and cracked the board. But yeah, somebody try to fix that and not put that back down. So, but yeah, what you need to do is, like I say, epoxy it back together properly. Make sure it's perfectly flat. Then once your epoxy's cured, you can come back in any epoxy that had come up and oozed in onto your traces, whatnot. You want to get all that cleaned off, and then. Now, most of your smaller traces, if there's, trying to actually find a broken small trace here. Yeah, that's not the way to do repairs. Actually, it mainly just looks like the ground plane that's broken. I don't really see, there might be one small trace right here. Yeah, this trace right here does look like it crossed. I can't really tell for all this blobby ass solder that's in here. Yeah, it looks like this is a small trace. But the easiest thing to do here, this is a lot of work, to actually properly replace all of these traces. It could be extremely time consuming. The easiest thing to do is, you're going to have it stripped down to the copper. Just clean it off really good. You can lay a piece of wire across it to bridge it and then solder it on. Now the bigger parts, if it's gone through big chunks of the ground plane like here, what I will do is I'll clean it off way out here. Remove these couple components, around in here, and then actually lay a piece of copper foil, clean it off really, really good, okay? Apply a liberal amount of flux, lay a piece of copper foil down on top of it, like I use for circuit trace repair. Just lay a sheet down on here, and then actually solder that entire sheet on here. So it's actually a solid piece of copper. It's actually thicker than the copper that's on this board already. can help to bridge that gap. And then after you get done fixing all your traces, you know, epoxy overcoat everything. But yeah, whoever tried to fix this thing, man, they woo. And man, you just look at some of this shit. Really, look, what kind of gloppy ass workmanship is that? You know, if I had a 3-year-old, I think he would be able to do better than that. You've got to wonder, where did people learn to work on electronics when you see shit like this? Even the power supply. Trace the bottom side of the power supply. I said, yeah, it looks good from the top. Well, yeah, well, not so. It's got so much damn glare you can't see it, but there you go. Still got the damn glare. And you can see all these screwed up solder joints here. Somebody's been in here, those leads, as long as they are, transistor's been replaced. Man. Looks like this IC here was replaced. Oh no, wait a minute. What do we got going here? Cut off wires from the power switch. Yeah, this has, it might seem a little strange, it has 2 power switches. This one disables the entire radio, clock, everything. It's basically off. Where the other switch, so if you leave this turned on, your clock, it leaves some of this radio working. Actually, no, these don't have. Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does leave the clock. Yeah, so that disables the clock, and then the power switch on the front that controls only the radio. Then, so if you turn this master switch off, that also disables the clock. But yeah, I mean, really, just whack the wires off. I mean. All I got to say is I hope nobody plugged this thing in with this thing in this condition, because Christ, receive? I don't see how. Honest to God, I don't see how. And I'm not going to plug it in. There's no way in hell, in this condition, I'm going to plug in anything electronic, CB radio or anything. I don't. Whew, I really got to give this one some thought, man. This could get. This actually isn't going to be that expensive to fix. The crack. A lot of people look at that, radio is trash. No, actually, that's not that bad. Believe it or not, move some screws, a little bit of epoxy, clean up, bridge, a bunch of bridging solder traces that are broken. It's actually not that bad. It's all of this other shit, like this, is what's scary. You don't know what you're going to get into. You could spend days, a week, week and a half, 2 weeks, trying to track down. You know, it's not like one part was changed. I see solder work everywhere all over this board. Here, all in this area. And this isn't, crack repair. All of these parts I can see look like they've been screwed with. And through here, obviously here, everything is another one extremely obvious. Here, obviously here, all in here, all along here. Now that's common. I always resolder all those as well. Those are known for having bad solder joints in these radios. So it's still sloppy. I mean, Christ, there's little solder balls. I wonder if there's not some. I mean, look at it. There's blobs of solder down in there. I don't know how anybody can do work like this. Yeah, this is just another one of those radios that makes you go, whew. Wasn't me. That's about all I can say. So there's a preview of. Yeah, I'm actually going to just have to sit this one off to the side, think about it for, mull over this thing for a day or two. Plan of attack, or if I really want to. I mean, my God, I knew it was going to have problems, but I had no idea it had been hacked on and crappy worked as much as it is. Like I say, you could just, a phenomenal amount of time tied up in something like this. Christ, I can see it is buckled. Even I don't know if you can see that in the camera, this chassis is also buckled in this direction too. So it's buckled this way, and it's buckled from left to right, I can see this whole thing. And that's the problem this way. It has these notches. That's what allowed it to bow. There's no reinforcement here because they've got all these cutouts here. But the front's fairly rigid because it has this continuous 90-degree bend here, which is for reinforcement. And somehow they were able to bend down. I mean, that's stiff. I mean, I'm pushing down. We're talking close to maybe cutting the skin on my finger. It's kind of sharp, but that thing is buckled too. Man, this radio has seen a rough life. So, possibly, and I say possibly, a 50-50 chance, you may see a video of this one again.